I think we're live. Hi, Abhinav.
Hi,
Um,
hi Kavya.
Hi, everyone. Uh, a very good evening and a very, very warm welcome to Bonito Discover, to the 74th chapter of Bonito Discover. In fact, we have Abhinav here with us today, who is one of the senior most members in Bonito. He's a design manager at Bonito. He's here to talk about a subject related to interior design. We will get to that shortly, but I think it's only fair that we give some more people a chance to join in on time. Let me probably start the session today with a home tour. One of the homes that we've designed. I leave you with the video, and both of us are going to come back in just a bit once the video is done to start today's session. Abhinav? So, okay, I think Abhinav is going to join us back in. Yeah, hi. Okay, welcome back.
Hey.
Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the home tour. So my name is Kavya Hegde, and that's Abhinav Gupta. I manage brand marketing at Bonito, and Abhinav Gupta is a design expert at Bonito. So we are here today for yet another session, but not yet another session. There is Abhinav, so he comes with a load of experience, and he has tremendous amount of information in his head that we can only wish and wait for him to disseminate to everyone. To give you an introduction about Bonito Discover, this is a platform that is created by Bonito Designs, a leading interior design firm based out of Bangalore. We started hosting these sessions about a year ago. It's been almost a year. Yeah, exactly. Last March, when the lockdown hit, that's when we got started. And because of the tremendous response that we've received, we've kept this going. And simply put, the journey of getting your interiors done is a beautiful one, but we also understand that it can be very, very daunting if you're not well informed about so many different facets of interior design. So here we are to talk about the little things that make a big difference in the space of interior design. Today we have with us Abhinav Gupta. Let me give you a quick introduction about him. So Abhinav's expertise in creating high-end home interior solutions in Delhi started about 15 years ago. His design style pays close attention to finer details to make home interiors functional. Owing to his experience, his current project focuses on putting together modern house plans to cater to a variety of size and budget requirements. Let's join him today as he talks about kitchen appliances for functionality and style. I will start his presentation and leave him to it. But in the meantime, it is extremely important for you to keep conversing with us because we are talking to a screen. So drop in your questions. Do not hesitate. Absolutely any question, any remark, anything that you like. Keep us engaged on the chat. Abhinav will take the questions along with me towards the end. But in the meantime, yes, just stay engaging with us, right? Abhinav, I'll leave you to it. And also another thing, I'm going to drop a link to our website of Bonito Discover, where you will have all the information for various sessions that are going to be happening next. I'm going to drop that right above your chat box. So if you want to register for the next one, you'll have the links to do register. Abhinav, I'll leave it to you and I'll be back. If you need me for anything at all, just give me a shout out and I'll come back.
Thank you, Kavya. Thanks a lot. Hi, guys. A very warm welcome to the Discover session of Bonito. So to start with, I actually, when I came across the home designing, so I am specialized into residential interiors only. And specifically while understanding from clients regarding like how they want to get their home designed. And to be very precise, kitchen is one of the very, very most important and diligent space in the home. While I speak to any homemaker, be it a male or female, they are really very much concerned about this specific space, the kitchen. And while designing kitchen, what I have came across in my experience and in my constant communications with the clients, most of the time they are not very much well aware of how to choose the right appliance. So that is the agenda of today's session only for me, to make you aware of and to make understand and to take your understanding as well, that what you are aware of and what you want to understand more from me or from us. So I will definitely looking forward for your queries also altogether simultaneously in the session, if you do have any. And I will be providing you the clarity on like how to choose the right appliance to suit your lifestyle, to your kitchen style, to the space, and will it be going to be actually accommodate as per your requirements or not. So it is not always that you are buying a more expensive appliance is going to provide you the solutions. You need to understand about what is your lifestyle, what is your requirement, what is your family size, what is the frequency by which guests are visiting, what kind of cuisine you guys are using in your home, in your lifestyle. These sort of very small and minor factors actually plays a vital role. So they appears to be minor, they appears to be like not to be considered at all, but they plays actually a major role in deciding over the right appliance. So that is the agenda of today's session only, that how to choose the right appliance for the kitchen. So to start with, I have actually distributed all of the appliance category into majorly the two category, mandatory and secondary appliances. After that, we will be talking over additional appliances and the placement for correct functioning, and after that the brand selection. So I will be helping you out with not only with selecting the right appliances, but also be helping you out with, like, let's suppose if you are in X city and you have let's suppose you have relocated to another city. So how to get the knowledge of right support, or how to choose the right appliance for that particular country or city. This is really a very important factor to decide upon, that will that specific brand which you are going ahead with in a new kitchen or a new house, will it going to provide you the better services or not. So these kind of pointers, these kind of factors actually again plays major role in the consideration which you are having. So it is not only about the brand name, it is also about the kind of things which you are going to provide after sales. So to start with mandatory appliances, I will start off. So when we talk about mandatory appliances, so to start with, definitely hob comes on the first number. Hob, and after that chimney. So I have highlighted, I have tried to make it more clearer and more communicated to you in a better manner. So I have highlighted these appliances, the very mandatory appliances of the kitchen, in gray. So you can identify them. This is the hob or the cooking range. And above that, there is a chimney and the oven, refrigerator, and water purifier. So these are the basic 5 appliances which every kitchen requires. Oven is the only thing which you can basically, like, you can it can be optional, but nowadays in terms of when we are working from home, oven is also has become one of the very mandatory kind of thing. So to talk about these 5 appliances, are somewhere they have to be the part of any kitchen. So when we move forward, I will be helping you first with the hob. So to be precise, first of all, we need to understand what is hob and what is cooktop, and we need to understand the difference very specifically. So hob is something which is shown in the right image. This hob is the unit which is basically inbuilt, and after making a cutout in the countertop, it is concealed into the countertop and then it is being used. So it provides you a lot of effortless cleaning feature. First of all, it definitely looks more aesthetically more nice. It provides your kitchen neater look. And there are few cons also about hobs, which I will discuss later on. And when I talk about cooktop is something which is definitely a portable unit. It is simply a put-on type. You can change it anytime. You can upgrade it anytime. And it is the most conventional one. And definitely cooktop is something which does not look that much aesthetically appealing when we compare it with the hob. But as I already discussed about the lifestyle and the cooking habits, this is totally very important to understand from our point of view. Will a cooktop suit our lifestyle or not? Or will a hob works out better for us? So this is the very basic intention of this session also, that I have chosen this topic to provide you the clarity that how to choose the correct appliance. This is the very basic appliance of any kitchen. Even a most basic kitchen will be having this appliance. So we need to understand about how to differentiate, how to prioritize our things, how to understand as per the lifestyle. So let's take a very small example of boiling a milk. So in case when you are boiling a milk and it is getting spill over, so in case of hob and in case of cooktop, there is a very basic difference. And I am generally taking this example to make it very common and to make it very common and easier to understand for all of us, so that we can correlate it with our basic lifestyle. So this is the only thing. When milk actually gets spilled over, it goes right in the area of where the burner is, and it enters into the cavity. So in case of hob, the hob is basically inbuilt. So if you see even this is image, so right outside the burner, there is a steel plate out of which there is a certain capacity of this. Okay, after that milk will be like overflowing and going inside the cavity. So there is a drip tray inside that which you need to clean, and that is actually a major task to clean it. So it is not very easy. You cannot open it every time. So these are somehow the challenges in case of hob. These kind of spillages are restricted up to certain limit of the quantity. The quantity of spillage should be limited. If it is up to 10 to 12 or ml, so that is fine, because you can clean it up or right over the plates. But in case it is over spillage, then you have to call the service provider or the technician to get it clean. Otherwise, it will result into the kind of fungi and algae, which is definitely hazardous to health. But in case of cooktop, it is never going to be an issue, because whatever is going to spill, be it in any quantity, it will going to spill only on the cooktop. You can very easily hold the cooktop in your hand and clean it with the other hand. So that is so easy. That is pretty easy. So this is a very basic example I have used, which is actually provide you the clarity. Is the cooktop suitable for you or not? Or a hob is suitable for you or not? My another pointer while deciding with the hob or burner is about the kind of burner. See, if you guys have a bigger family, you have a joint dinner also, and you used to have a kind of bigger gathering also. So you will, and again, depending upon the type of cuisine, so the kind of dishes you are preparing. So though all those dishes which are requiring high intensity flame, you need to always take care about this thing, that you always choose a high intensity burners while purchasing or while having a consultation with the seller who is selling you the product. You need to provide them this clarity that yes, I have a big family, I have this kind of lifestyle and this kind of food habits, so I will be requiring higher intensity flame or lower intensity flame. Definitely higher intensity flame will take more of the fuel in terms of gas. So you need to understand about these minor points. If I go into bit detail, so can you see the top image on the left? There are only 3 lines of holes, 2 outside and 1 inside. And if you see another image from the same hob image only, we are having 1 line of holes inside, which is going to provide us the flame, and 3 line outside. So this is the minor difference. This is the basic difference among higher intensity and lower intensity burner. Now, when you see the right side images, there is only 1 flame line in the above image. But when you see the lower one, it has 2 flame lines. So this is the very basic difference which you need to understand and needs to talk about. This is one. Second, the kind of cooking which you are doing, always remember that low intensity flame is required in the cases when food is required to be cooked for a very longer duration, and you need to put it on the back side of the hob. So when we select always the hob, when we discuss about the hob taking, while we purchasing the hob, we always think of having a more number of burners, but always try to keep it in mind. Only getting more number of burners is not a solution to make more amount of food. The person who is actually operating the hob or cooktop is the one. Okay, he has a lot of other responsibilities also in the same kitchen, in the same space. So we need to understand about the mental state also of that person, that how much he will be or she will be able to cope up with. So do not always emphasize on taking more number of burners, but also think about the kind of sizes which we are having in terms of wok or pans. The sizes should be accommodatable at the time when all the 5 burners or 4 burners are accommodated. There will be no use of another burner if you have already occupied the space with a larger utensil. So this you need to cover, you need to understand and consider also while purchasing a hob, that the distance between the 2 burners should be sufficient enough to accommodate the larger vessels also. So this is one of the very crucial point. Other than that, the intensity of burner which you need to discuss and we need to understand about as per the lifestyle, as per the usage, as per the cooking style, that either you need that or not. One more important point which I was telling you, always take low intensity burner on the back side, because high flame burners are required where you need either roasting kind of thing or you need a quicker cooking. So when you need quicker cooking, definitely it is going to take lesser amount of time. So that means Either you are roasting something like, sort of say, if I take an example, you are roasting a papad. So it will not take more than a minute. So definitely it will be a problem if you take high intensity burner at the back side. So always keep in mind that take a higher intensity burner at the front side. If I talk about 4 burner set. So all these 2 burners which are in the front, they should be higher intensity, and the backside burner should be lower intensity. So this is the very basic funda, which is a very basic tip to follow while you are purchasing the hob. Other than that, I have also seen and found this questions from the users, that what kind of finishing, what kind of material they should go ahead with. So to be very precise, if I talk about burner specifically, always emphasize on taking brass burner. There are 2 types of burner very commonly available. One is brass burner and another is tungsten. Always try to have brass burner. It is very easy to replace. Brass is also having almost zero negative effects. Brass does not emit actually harmful fumes when it get hot. So brass is always preferable, and definitely brass is economic also. Tungsten is more expensive. Now another companion, definitely it is a best companion of the hob or a cooktop, that is called a chimney. So this is one of the most inquired product which people generally do not get a proper info about, how to choose the right chimney, how to get a right chimney which is most suitable for their kitchen dimensions, and how to decide upon the kind of model they want to go ahead with. So generally people falls in a trap of either a combo being sold off in the showroom, or in the trap of like better aesthetics. So the chimney which is looking more beautiful or most beautiful, they actually incline to fall off in the trap of the beauty of the chimney, and they ends up in buying that chimney. They are even not aware of if they are buying it rightly or not. So this is a very common trap which I have come across. So what I will provide you in this discussion. So when you are deciding for a chimney selection, you need to consider considerable about the very basic 2 factors. First is kitchen dimension, and another is suction power. So I will tell you how to calculate the suction power and how it is getting affected with the kitchen dimensions. So I have taken a very basic example of a kitchen. So if you see the diagram, this kitchen height is 2.5 meter, and the width is 3 meter, and the length is 4 meter. So I have given you the formula also, that how to calculate the suction power of the kitchen. I have taken it in meter to make it more easier for you, because whenever you are buying to buy a chimney for a kitchen, it will be coming only in cubic meter. The unit of the suction power is coming into cubic meter or cubic feet. So you need to take care about these things. The very minor things are there. You need to understand about from the seller, or you can also refer to the catalog provided by the manufacturer, that what is the cubic suction capacity, and is it suitable for your kitchen type, kitchen size type or not. So now how to calculate the suction power. First of all, I would like to make you understand about suction power. What is suction power? Suction power is the capacity of motor to absorb particle and odor. Suction power is basically a feature which we expect from a chimney. So only 2 things are basically expected when we install a chimney. One is to not to provide any sort of smoke, to clean out the air, and also to absorb the odor from the air. So if you are cooking anything in kitchen which is smelling high, the smell should not reach out to the living or the dining space. This is the very basic function of chimney, other than sucking the air or the smoke out of your kitchen. You need to understand these 2 features. There is only people generally tends to think that there is only one feature of the chimney, that it is going to put out the smoke from my kitchen. But chimney also works as a smell removal device. It not only removes the smoke but also removes the smell. So this is very important, and you need to consider it while purchasing a chimney. Now how to calculate the suction power. Suction power calculation is very simple. So you need to multiply the width and the length and the height of the room, and the number of times air must be recycled in an hour. So in case of kitchen, this is a very basic formula, that a kitchen air should be recycled at least 10 times. So when we take it as an example, so 2.5 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 4, so it comes out to be 30. So this is the very basic calculation. So in this case, when the volume of the kitchen is 30 cubic meter, you need to buy a chimney of 30 into 10. That means 300 cubic meter. Or you can convert it into square feet also. Another factor which affects chimney efficiency. So when the chimney is installed as per the previous formula, and when we are installing the chimney, what kind of factors we need to understand and we need to take into the consideration while purchasing the chimney. Number of bends which are going to be executed or implemented after installing the chimney. The number of bends means, what I mean from this term, that the exhaustion pipe which is coming out of the chimney and going towards the exhaust outlet. So there might be n number of bends depending upon the type of layout, type of structure, type of design proposal, and the kind of chimney's placement in respect of the placement of the window through which you want to get the chimney exhaust pipe outlet executed. So this is the very major factor, number of bends. So number of bends means the kind of L bending or the kind of jointer bending which is going to affect the efficiency of exhaustion, the pull of exhaustion. So this is a very major factor. This plays a vital role while selecting a chimney when we talk about the suction power. After that, the ventilation. And last but not least, the length of the duct pipe. So these are the three very basic factors which you need to take into the consideration before buying a chimney or while deciding over with the final chimney model. So number of bends. So when we talk about the calculation of the chimney suction power, we took out the result with that 300 suction power was enough for the as per the previous model of the kitchen. So now when we talk about number of bends, I would suggest you to consider for each number of bends, you should add 100 suction power additional. So let's suppose if that kitchen was fine with 300 suction power. So as per the diagram shown, this model is having one bend here and another bend outside. So what I'm assuming here, if this is a window, this bend will be going outwards, facing the sky. Okay. So in that scenario, there is a second bend like this. So I have added two hundreds for each bend. So the suction power required for this chimney will be 200 plus 300. So that means 500. Other than that, if you are having a duct pipe of more than 10 feet, so 10 feet is by default supplied by the chimney manufacturer with every chimney product in majority of the cases. So that is a contractable pipe which generally every manufacturer provides. So for that, it is by default fixed and the chimney is suitable for that kind of length. If you are increasing a length, let's suppose if your kitchen is situated in the center of the home. So in that case, you might be required to have an additional length of duct. So in those cases, what I will suggest you to add another 100 for every 10 feet of length. That will be actually helpful for you to retain and to take out the proper efficiency of the chimney. After that, the ventilation. This is again a very important factor. What I have came across with lot of users, that when we are using a chimney, the very basic formula and the very basic example I will give you to understand it in better form. Whenever you are using a chimney, use it as you are using like AC. Put all the windows and doors closed and then use the chimney. And when you are supposed to start the cooking, always keep it in memory. Instead of like firing your hob first or burner first, always switch on your chimney. Chimney works like a tornado. It creates a flow in the air. So before you start cooking food, start on the chimney. I have seen in multiple cases in lot of homes, people are actually switching on the chimney when the smoke has started coming out of the food. This should not be the practice. Always switch on the chimney before started cooking. That will actually create a kind of airflow in advance. And as soon as the smoke is generated on the cooktop or the burner, it will get exhausted immediately. It will not even allow the person who is cooking even to cough. It will be so nice. It will be so clean. So this is something which is a very basic and important point to always consider in. Length of the duct. So I have already discussed this, that length of the duct always affect the efficiency of chimney. For every 10 feet, you can add 100 more suction power. Yes, definitely this is another matrix to be discussed over, the kind of filters which generally confuses a lot for any time when we are going to buy a chimney. So to start with, the first one is cassette at the mesh filter. This is the very basic filter which comes in the very first model which was launched in our country, and this is very delicate. This model is actually very delicate, and it gets tampered and damaged even with our hands while cleaning. So I will definitely strongly recommend you to not to take this kind of filter. Cassette or mesh filter is the worst because it gets damaged very easily. When we talk about Baffle filter, the second one, this is the upgraded model of the mesh filter only, and it does not allow our fingers or our hand push to damage the cassette filter. So this is only a casing which has been installed over the mesh filter or the cassette filter to protect it from the damage. So most of the chimneys, 90 to 99% chimneys nowadays which are coming, they are coming with the Baffle type of filter only. And there are few add-ons which I will discuss later on in the same discussion. So to be precise with, always see for the kind of filter which is being supplied by the manufacturer while deciding with the model and while finalizing the model. Always emphasize over the Baffle filter. It will actually allow your chimney to run in a longer duration. It will provide more sustainability also. And now when we talk about charcoal filter is actually not act as a proper filter, but it is an add-on. It is a top up to the chimney. When we are discussing about the second feature of chimney, I told you about that chimney is also supposed to remove the odor from the air. So this is the feature of charcoal filter. Charcoal filter is an add-on. There is a 100% possibility that a chimney is having a Baffle filter plus a charcoal filter. But there is a 0% possibility that a chimney is having only charcoal filter and it is not having any other filter. Charcoal filter is an add-on. Only a charcoal filter cannot do everything for you. It is not going to provide a clean air. It is not going to suck out the smoke. It is only useful in providing you the odor-free air. I will discuss more about charcoal filter. And now when we proceed with the next model type, which is the latest and the latest in trend right nowadays. So this is called filterless or auto clean chimney. So just to make you more aware about this is the information which is generally actually being hidden from the customer or the user, and how important it is to know about what is auto clean feature. Nowadays, most of the people are working, and everybody is involved in so many daily activities that we do not have a time even once in a month or once in 3 months to clean our chimney by ourselves. So this is really a great hit in the market nowadays because it says auto clean. So when I talk about auto clean, I will like to provide more light on this. Like what is happening in auto clean chimney? Can you see, if you see my cursor, so there is a blue light which I have highlighted with to have a more understanding about the feature and the functioning of this kind of chimney. So when this kind of blower, this is the circular ring, this is a kind of blower which creates some sort of tornado, some sort of cyclone into your kitchen air. And as soon as the smokes generates out, it got sucked into this tornado kind of structure. And as soon as it got sucked in, the particles which are into the air, that is the vapor particle, the oil particles, and the water particles. These are the 3 types of particle basically. There is no dust particle, but there is a kind of particles, you can say, which are along with the vapor, water vapor, and the oil. There might be a food particles which are actually spattering. So these kind of 3 particles are there. All these particles are captured and they got stuck onto this kind of fan, this kind of blower, which is actually generating the kind of tornado. And in this auto clean chimney, there is a foil which is covering this blower, and all these particles stuck on that foil. So when you press, so after a certain usage, let's say 2 months or 3 months, depending upon the kind of food habit, the kind of cuisine which you are cooking into the kitchen, your auto clean mode gets activated, and it notifies you that please press the button to auto clean the chimney. And as soon as you press that button, this foil gets heated inside, and all whatever oil is stuck on that foil, it gets melted and accumulates down in the drip tray. This is the function of autocooling chimney. So after that, you can throw away that oil and put that drip tray again, and chimney starts working as it is working earlier. Now, when we talk about the internal part, so as soon as you have done the auto clean feature and you have thrown out the oil, this is the thing which is visible to you in the form of drip tray. But honestly speaking, only maximum up to 70 to 80% of oil gets melted. Actually, 20 to 30% of oil gets retained into the foil only, which you cannot see before opening. Like unless you open the chimney, you cannot see that. For the same reason, you need to call the technician. So this is the very basic factor, which is the very basic requirement. Whenever you are buying an auto clean chimney, you have to have a AMC for that particular model. Otherwise, you will not be able to take the proper efficiency. It will going to provide you that efficiency in a downgrade manner if you are not getting it attended by the company's technician. So this is a very basic requirement of auto clean chimney. You have to have a AMC. They only visit your site at your place. They will be opening out the chimney. Either they will be cleaning the foil with certain chemicals they have, or they will be replacing that foil altogether. So this is the kind of feature, this is the kind of functioning of auto cleaner filterless chimney. Do not misunderstand it with that chimney is auto cleaning herself. It is not like that. Chimney is not cleaning itself. It is a feature which has been provided to you to provide a longer duration of cleaning it. If you are using a basic chimney and if you compare it with the same cooking lifestyle with an auto clean chimney, the regular basic chimney with a Baffle filter might be requiring a cleaning at every 3 months. But when we talk about auto clean chimney, it will be requiring a cleaning of every 6 months. Nothing more than that. So it will also be requiring a cleaning, but this cleaning you cannot do by yourself. This is the cleaning which has to be done by a technician only. This is you need to take care about. Last but not the least, and this is the very uncommon model to see. This is the ductless chimney, which is generally being installed in the areas where we do not have any provision to provide the exhaust pipe, or generally in the homes where we do not have any kind of service shafts. So in ductless chimney, what happens? This is the very important chimney, and this is the model which is going to help us out a lot with the charcoal filter. When I spoke about charcoal filter, it is providing us the option of cleaning the odor out. So here in ductless chimney, charcoal filters plays a vital role. So how ductless chimney works? Let me provide you that clarity first. So when we cook under the ductless chimney, fumes and vapors and smell, whatever is there in the air, it gets sucked and it gets recycled within the chimney, and then it is thrown out within the kitchen itself. So now let's imagine if this chimney is not removing the odor, then this odor, the smell of the food will going to occupy the whole space of the home. So that is not at all possible to accommodate with. So that is why I told you the charcoal filter is mandatory to be used in ductless chimney. Always make sure whenever you are going ahead with ductless chimney, you are getting a charcoal filter installed in it. Please do check with it, because there are many manufacturers who are not providing charcoal filter in the ductless chimney. You have to ask for this. You need to make sure that charcoal filter is being provided in that, and the kind of replacement also you need to make sure about, is that replaceable or not, how much is the cost, because charcoal filters is something which is not very easily cleanable. It is required to be replaced after a certain point of time. So you need to be aware about these minor things. Otherwise you will ending up in either feeling regret about choosing the model, because see, ductless chimney is something which is very exciting to see. It is not having any kind of exhaust pipe, which definitely doesn't look good to anyone. But I again telling you, which I discussed in the earlier part of the session also, that while taking a chimney never goes with aesthetics. Beauty is something which your designer is going to provide you in the overall designs. But when we talk about appliances, this is something which even a designer cannot hamper. Designer cannot play with the kind of technicalities. He or she cannot change the technical structure, the kind of configuration of these appliances. These are something which are ready-made and they have to be used as it is. So we need to take care about these small things. So my next oven appliances is ovens. So when we talk about ovens, actually have now become the integral part of our life. Every home, I'm not seeing any home, any single home which is not having an oven or can, like it is really has become very difficult to have our daily routine without ovens nowadays. So when we talk about ovens are two types, OTG and microwave. OTG has almost diminished from the market. Uh, People are not actually, you can say, aware of the right thing about OTG, and OTG is something which has almost vanished from the market because of few factors. If I compare them for you for your easiness to understand, so microwave uses electromagnetic waves to cook or heat food, but OTG uses electricity to heat coil. So for the very first point, we can understand is that OTG takes a lot of more electricity. So we definitely want to have 5-star or 3-4-star appliances at our places. We do not want to waste energy. So this is one of the major reason that OTG has gone out from the market. Other thing is microwave ovens are very quick. They heat up your food very quickly. But when we talk about OTG, they take almost same time as we require to heat up our food or vegetable on the cooktop or the burner. So again, nobody wants to spend more time on these things. And after that, when we talk about the programming, the scheduling, the planning of the food cooking, so OTG were required to have a regular check. We need to check the food if the food is not getting overcooked, if the food is getting cooked rightly in the right manner. But when we speak about microwave ovens, they are having a pre-programmed menu. You just need to select the name of the kind of food which you want to cook, and it gets cooked as per the pre-programmed menu, and also keeping in mind the maximum perfection. So that is so convenient, so easy. After that, microwave, when we talk about in comparison with OTG, microwave ovens are very good for heating and defrosting, whereas defrosting is something which was never available in OTG, and that was a very big win for microwaves. When they were launched, people were so happy seeing the feature of defrosting. This was really a wondrous feature, specifically for the frozen foods. So this feature has helped out a lot in winning the war in between OTG and microwave. Now, when we talk about what is the difference, what do we understand, how OTG can be utilized. So there are few features which OTG have, but microwave never had. Nowadays, upgraded versions of microwave. When we talk about convection ovens, so there are three types of microwaves. One is solo, another one is convection, and in middle there is another oven which I will talk later about. So we need to understand about the difference and how we have come up with the upgraded models which are doing us almost everything, even including the OTG features, and not taking much of the time. So as technology revives and technology explored, so what was done with these two? All both the ovens were taken all together, and the pros from both were taken. And I will describe you how the ovens, the latest ovens models in microwaves works, and how they are helpful, and how to choose the right kind of oven. You need to understand this. This is very important and crucial to understand how to choose the right microwave. A lot of people keeps on saying that my oven is not making the pizza in the same manner as my friend's ovens is making. So we need to understand why this is why this difference is. So when we talk about convection oven or convection microwave oven, so in OTG, the coils were heated, as I discussed about already, and the hot air used to perform the task. But when we talk about microwave ovens, everything is being done by the microwaves, which are very hot. So that was wave cooking. Now, when we talk about convection microwave oven, this is a combination of both. So if you see nowadays, the latest model of ovens have a blower or a fan, either on the top of their cavity, inside cavity, or at the back. So this fan generates a flow of air, which blows out the air, and the air inside the cavity is already heated. Which, when we speak about baking, we always talk about preheated oven. So that preheated means the coils are already got heated, and after that, when we put in the food and we switch on, activate the blower, so the air circulation happens. and that hot air, extremely hot air, cooks the surface of the food. And along with the surface cooking, there is another cooking which is done by the, because this is convection microwave. So microwaves also works all together while the air is flowing through, the hot air is flowing through. So food is getting cooked from outside also and inside also. This is the feature and this is the work of convection microwave oven. Convection microwave oven almost cooks everything, almost everything. It can provide you every feature of microwave as well as OTG. So these are the best ovens to purchase. Now, to be precise and to be more easier to understand, so how can we understand this? Convection oven or microwave oven? I have actually provided you these two options to compare with, so that you are easily understandable about the kind of intention which I am coming up with. So these are the three types of oven which we see in the market. One is solo, another is grill, and third is convection. So a lot of people ended up in purchasing grill because they are not aware of the right name either, or the right terminology, or they are not able to figure out at the time of purchasing that either it is going to be suitable as per the lifestyle and the food habits or not. So that's why I always tell you, I am always emphasizing on this, that always figure out with, first of all, the kind of food habits, the kind of cooking demands, and the kind of lifestyle which we are following. So solo, when we talk about solo microwave, it only reheat food. It does not cook food. It will not going to provide you anything other than, like, not more than boiling a water. That's all. It will only heat a water for you. It can provide you boiling water, but not more than that. Nothing more than that. You cannot even make a proper Maggie into this, to be very precise. This is a kind of working which solo oven we can expect from. We cannot expect even to cook Maggie from the solo oven. So this is something which I am providing you to be very clear with these things. In grill oven, you can definitely heat food, you can grill food also, but there is no option for surface cooking. So when we talk about pizza requires a lot of surface cooking, which is possible only while we talk about convection. So in convection oven, we have reheat option also, we have grilling option also, and we have the kind of option which is called surface heating. Now going to our next category is refrigerator. So when we talk about refrigerator, we have generally these kind of three models. The very initial one, the first one, is generally not at all liked by anyone, the single door one. People are nowadays going with this only. So this is the lowest version, if I to be more precise, on the right hand side and the most right hand side. So this is the two door. After that, the French door. After that, the side by side door, and the first one is French door. So when we talk about the French door one, this is a very nice refrigerator kind of model, and most suitable for the bigger families, almost a family of almost 15 plus people. This is most suitable. And when you have a family of from 5 to 15 members, you can go ahead with this side by side door. And nowadays, even people with a smaller family are going ahead with French side by side door, because the quantity of frozen food has increased. It actually has increased tremendously. Earlier, we are not using frozen foods that much in quantity, but nowadays people are using frozen food because of lack of time. So these are the kind of two refrigerators which are going to offer you ample of storage in terms of cold storage in the refrigerator storage. So you can go ahead with any of these two. Just make sure about choosing the right appliance at the right time.
Abhinav?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Just 1 minute. Give me a moment. I think the slide has resized itself. Let me just realign it. Can I stop the presentation for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
1 second. Let me try this again. Yeah, this is better. Continue, please.
Thank you. Now, when we talk about the next appliance, that is called water purifier. This is, guys, this is a very important appliance. This is really plays a vital role in our health issues also, because this is a very basic saying, even that we need to take care about water. Water is something, even when there are kind of situation which is even now currently going on, we are going ahead, whenever we are going out, we are going out with a water bottle with us. So this is something which is very important to understand how to choose the right purifier. Water purifier is one of the, you can say, what I have felt the most corrupted product which companies are selling right now, and they are not providing the right knowledge to the users, to the clients. So we need to understand about the very basic thing. Whenever you are whenever you are planning to have a new water purifier, always first try to taste a normal regular supply water from the regular tap of the kitchen. If it is not at all acceptable in taste, only then go ahead with the reverse osmosis, that is RO. Otherwise, you need to check up with a very small test, which is provided by all of the companies. Right nowadays, there are so many brands popular. You can Google them and you can ask them to get a survey first and check out the TDS value of your water supply. If you have a TDS value of less than 300 or up to 300, that water has an excellent quality. I have seen so many times that company people are coming, they are coming with the TDS after they're testing the water supply, they are getting a TDS of 150 or 160. And even then they are saying and they are scaring customers or clients that your water supply is so bad. You need to have the RO immediately. That is certainly not at all a correct information. You can Google this information. This is available readily. You need to understand about the TDS. TDS is total dissolved solids. So you need to understand it is 300 or up to 300 or less than 300. This water quality is excellent. Even if it is up to 600, that water quality is considered as in a good one. And after 600, what is actually starts happening? So it affects the taste of water. It is not going to affect the acceptability for our body, but it is going to be unacceptable for the tongue, for the taste. So for that feature, a lot of companies are providing us water polishing kind of feature, in which they challenge us that you will be having a sparkling water with a sweeter taste or with a better taste. So these kind of, don't fall into the trap of this. Always use the conscious and always take a decision on the right things. If your water supply already is having a TDS of lesser than 300, that water is excellent. Now another factor, I have given the same thing to you. So this is something which is a very basic funda, which is a very basic tip I am giving you. If your water supply is having a TDS value of 300 or less, never go for reverse osmosis or RO water supply. RO actually removes everything, every mineral, every dissolved solids from the water, even the good dissolved solid also. The natural good things about the water, they also get removed in case of RO. So you should always emphasize over not to use the RO. This is something which is very important and it should be known to us. Now, while talking about taste, so we need to take care about taste. Let's say if we are having a water supply which is having a TDS of up to 300, but it is not tasting well. So you can discuss this with the manufacturer or the water purifier provider. You ask them that I do not want to go with RO, but my water supply is having a bad taste, or it gets bad in certain seasons. Let's suppose a rainy season, which is a very common issue. So for that matter, they will be providing you the UV purifier or the basic regular water purifier. That is going to provide you, that is actually going to provide you the better taste. It is actually used to remove all the odors and the smell from the water. In that scenario, you will having a candle which is having some carbon, and carbon used to polish the water, and it removes only the impurities and the smell. It will improvise the taste. It will also provide more sparkling to the water, but it is not going to remove minerals from water. So just try to understand the fact that RO is somewhere required when the water TDS level is above 300. Other than that, there is no use or there is no requirement of a RO water purifier. Now comes the secondary appliances. So when we talk about secondary appliances, there are three categories. First is instant geyser, second is induction plate, and another one is dishwasher. So when we talk about instant geysers are generally required a lot in colder cities, in colder countries where temperature is too low and the cooking is oily. So it becomes really difficult to clean out. So at that point of time, instant geysers are required. There are a lot of options. Try to accommodate with instant geyser only. Don't take bigger sizes of geysers, because in kitchen specifically, when we talk about instant geyser, offers you almost 2.5 to 3.5 liters of water instantly as soon as you switch on the geyser. But if you ended up in installing the bigger size of geyser, it will take almost 15 to 30 minutes to first of all getting it ready. So don't fall in trap. Don't become greedy for more quantity of water, because that high quantity of water is not required for cleaning up or washing up the utensils, and it also will going to spoil the aesthetics of the kitchen. So instant geysers comes in size of almost 12 inches to 15 inches, and they take mere space above the lofts or above the overhead units. They look nice. There are so many beautiful models comes into this. You can take vertical type of instant geyser also, or horizontal type instant geyser also, depending upon the type of space availability. Now, when we talk about induction plate is certainly not a very required or very mandatory kind of appliance or a device, but it is nowadays becoming popular because of its super hygiene and actually a ease of use. You can use it without flame. First of all, induction is flameless cooking. So if you have to have a flameless cooking, then you can go ahead with the induction plate. But I will strongly suggest you to not to go ahead with only induction cooktop. You must be have at least 2 burner cooktops at your home. Don't go ahead with specifically with induction until and unless you are fine with doing the flameless cooking, which is certainly not possible as per the Indian lifestyle. Now, when we talk about dishwashers, so dishwashers, we need to understand the difference between like what dishwasher do and how dishwasher is actually to be decided while making a kitchen. As the name suggests, this is a dishwasher. This is not a utensil washer. This is not a, you can say, in dishwasher, you can never wash your wok, your pan, your griddles. Just try to understand the difference. These are only meant for cleaning the dishes and the cutlery. You can clean forks, spoons, knives, and all the dishes, plates, and bowls, and glasses. Don't assume to clean your oily cooking utensils. Cooking utensils should not be cleaned in dishwasher. Before putting them for cleaning, we have to rinse them out for the any additional oil or any sticking. So try to understand the difference. Dishwashers should be taken for either if you are having a very nice collection of crockery in terms of bone china, glassware, crystalware. Dishwashers are very good for them. Definitely, dishwashers provide a better cleaning when we talk about these specific crockeries or dishes. But when we talk about steel utensils, they are also getting very nicely cleaned in this. But when we talk about the cooking utensils, that is wok or a pan, they are not supposed to be put into dishwashers. I hope I am clear with this. Now, to be go in more detail, so when in instant geyser, as I have told you, there are certainly n number of models available in the market. You can go ahead with vertical also, and you can go ahead with horizontal also. They are not very big in size. Don't go with bigger quantities of water supply. They provide you instant heated water from 2.5 liters to 3.5 liters. 3.5 liters is more than enough for one time cooking. So don't go for bigger geysers in instant geyser sort of. Induction plate we already discussed about that. If you, in case you are fine with the flameless cooking, then you can go ahead with the induction plates. Otherwise, don't go ahead with induction cooktops totally. Dishwasher, as we discussed, are meant for cleaning the dishes. They can be used for cleaning the serving utensils and the eating utensils, not the cooking utensils. This is the very basic difference. Now, the appliance, which is again comes into secondary category, but as is an integral part of the kitchen again, the food processor. So nowadays, when we see starting from the very basic activity like preparation or preparing the food before cooking, so there are n number of activities starting from doing kneading the dough, and other than the dough preparation, cutting and chopping the vegetables, and making purees. So these sort of activities are actually getting resolved by food processor nowadays. Always keep into mind while planning your kitchen. I will also come on to the relocation and the placement of the appliances. So this is a very important point. When you are taking a food processor, always keep in mind again about the food habits and the kind of lifestyle which we are following. This is very important to understand. Even if you are a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, that affects a lot while selecting a food processor type. because the kind of blades which we are getting into the package, into the combination, that plays an important role. So you need to discuss this from the supplier, from the seller, that you have this kind of food habits and you need the food processor for certain purposes. So as soon as you discuss with them, as soon as you discuss with them with certain cases, that will be really helpful, and that will be really uh, actually supportive for the seller also to make you in a quicker decision, in the right decision. So always discuss these sort of minor things with them. Now, as I discussed, how should we place these appliances? So I will start with the first of all the food processor. So when we talk about food processor, it has two kind of features. One is dry processing and one is wet processing. When we talk about, let's suppose, grinding spices, so it is a dry processing. It does not require any kind of water, and also it will not. There will minor scope of a spillage sort of things. So this kind of food processing is required away from the sink. But when we talk about the food processing which is required in wet processing, this should be done ideally near the sink, so that if there is any kind of spillage, you can clean it out instantly. So this is something which you always should keep in mind, that your food processor should have a portability also and the feasibility also to take it as per the kind of usage you are expecting from it at the certain point of time. If you wanted to use it for dry processing, then you can place it at a dry place. And when you want to use it for the wet processing, it can be moved, and there should be a power supply also on the respective places. So these kind of very minor things which you need to always keep in mind. Definitely your designer, if you are going ahead with the designer consultation, these kind of things always are kept in mind from the designer point of view, but you should always keep them into consideration while while approving the designs, while going ahead with the design proposals, and while deciding upon with the food processor type also. Now this is the very basic kitchen working triangle, which should be understandable, and it makes our life a lot more easier if we follow these triangles. So these are few examples I have taken. So to be precise, they are the three pillars of every kitchen. So first of all, we need to take care about where the hob is located. After that, while we are cooking food, we are requiring two supports. First is we might need water, either to clean anything, or we might need water to directly supply into the cooking. Second is we definitely have lot of needs from the refrigerator while cooking. So these three pillars of the kitchen must be arranged in the right manner to provide the user better circulation in the kitchen, less number of accidents, and more kind of feasibility and functionality and the ease. So when you are following these sort of triangles into your working kitchen, they are always become a happy kitchen and the more usable kitchen. And if you are not following, or you are contradicting with the working triangles, let's suppose a lot of people ask nowadays to remove sink out of their kitchen completely. So always keep in mind, if you do not want to clean your utensils into the sink in the kitchen itself, that is fine with me. But always take a smaller size of sink, that is called vegetable sink, which will be required at the time of cooking for cleaning, for basically cleaning your small veggies, for rinsing off some small things, like if you want to uh, have a normal water supply to your cooking, you need to increase some water content into your gravy. So at that point of time, you need water supplies. So please keep in mind about these things. So here is another example to be more precise, to make you more understand about these things, that how these are utilizable. Just give me a second. So this is about working triangle of the kitchen and the placement of where the appliance should be put. Now, after these three appliances, you can plan other appliances in accordance with the space available after consulting with your designer. But always keep in mind that you should always plan your appliances in the manner while imagining the situation of their usage. So as another example, which I generally suggest to my majority of clients, that all the electrical appliances, apart from food processor, microwave, toaster, griller, and all those OTG ovens, or if you have anything other than that, these kind of things, you can plan a single wall or a single unit or a tall unit in which you can have all these at the same place altogether, so that while you're using electrical things, you are not getting confused. You need not to rush from that place to another place to basically take out the things. Always take additional platforms is possible. Let's say if you are having an oven, so I'm taking a very basic example of, let's suppose if you are cooking a pizza. So while you are putting in the pizza into the oven and while you are taking out the pizza into the oven, always take care about the eye level. The placement of the oven should be in the manner that the food should be below the eye level so that you can see it, either it is cooked or not. Also, when we take another examples of, let's say instead of pizza, we take an example of liquid. So if there is a liquid which you are heating or boiling, so that should not be above the eye level. Otherwise, it may spill over you also. So these kind of very minor things you always need to keep into consideration while planning your kitchens. This is another example I have shown to make it more clearer that how these three parts of kitchen are being placed. So this is very crucial, very important to understand how to plan a feasible and more functional kitchen. So I have also arranged a reference for you to understand that what should be the ideal distance between these three pillars or these three functional units of the kitchen. That when we speak about a hob, a cooking range, and the sink and the refrigerator, so ideal distance should be 4 to 7 feet between sink and the hob, and the same distance should be there in between the refrigerator and the sink also. But however, you can increase the difference between refrigerator and cooktop up to 2 feet, that is 4 to 9 feet. So this is because generally when we cook food on the hob, we takes out the things prior at the time of cooking, so that we need not to rush at the same time. And other than that, there is one more factor. The cold food cannot be placed right on the flame, so it requires to be comes down at the room temperature. So for that matter also, we generally always follow this practice that we take out food in the prior advance and use it all together. Now, the last but not the least, the brand selection. This is a very important point which I actually included in the session to cover with, because this is another very, very disturbing and very confusing point while choosing the right brand. So how you can choose the right brand in a particular city or a country. So first of all, what I will suggest you, whenever you are going with a bigger brand or a smaller brand, even as depending upon the budget, always search out how is the after sales support, how is the after sales service. So after sales service has been divided into three categories mainly. First of all, the very important thing is spare parts service. By this is I mean that either the spare parts are readily available with the company for that specific model which you are buying or not. So let's take an example. If you have actually struggling with any of the new bought appliances, you have raised a complaint, company is taking your complaint, that is fine. But they are saying that they will be available with that particular spare after 20 days. Now you are not able to use that appliance for next 20 days. So these are the kind of challenges you should always plan before. So always search out for these things in advance before buying or before going ahead with any of the brands. After that, repair service. So there are a lot of companies who prefers or they build their appliances in a manner that only repairs are required. They do not require any spare replacement. But even for that repair, either their person is not available or they are asking you to bring that at their place, at their service centers. So these kind of repair services is very important. Either they are providing the repairs or not. And what is the turnaround time for the repair services? Are they taking the appliance for a month or two and then waiting for your follow-ups? So this is certainly another very important factor. After that, the on-site support. Always go ahead with the kind of brand which is claiming or which is actually promising you or committed towards the on-site service. It is really very difficult to take out the installed appliance out of the kitchen and then go ahead on the service center. Always emphasize over the on-site support brand. Whatever appliance you are going ahead with, until and unless it is super portable, don't go ahead with off-site support. Always emphasize over the brand which is coming with the on-site support. So this was me. I hope I can have few queries from you if you have any, or otherwise Kavya can take over. Hi Kavya.
Hi, joining. Thank you so much, Abhinav. I was almost tempted to come and relieve you so you can take a water break in between because you've been talking non-stop for the past 1 hour. Give me a second. We will take all the questions, but however, in the meantime, there is a message that I'd like to pass on. So home is where the heart is, they say, and we feel a lot of love every single day when we design exquisite homes. Today, we are here in front of you as we celebrate the completion of 2,000 homes that we've delivered in Bengaluru. And it is a moment of pride as we also announce that we've been awarded the Best Interior Design Brand by Times Business Awards. Through the homes we built, we told a story, your story, the one that translates your dreams into reality and finishes it all up with the finest quality of workmanship that will stay for the years to come. This journey has been a memorable one, and to celebrate it, we bring a whole host of offers. If you are looking for your interiors right now, do get in touch with us. Above your chat box, just give me a second. Above your chat box, I'm going to place the offer, which should appear on the right-hand side of the screen. You can go ahead and click on the link to inquire more if you are looking to get your home interiors done. Also, last but not the least, there are a lot of sessions that will be, going live in the next few weekends as well. I have also dropped a link on top of the chat box, bonito.in/discover. That's the website link. Here are the invites for the next sessions. If you wish to know more, do log into the website, register yourself, so we will be with you. We will see you again next weekend. In the meantime, all right, so I'm just going to exit the slides. Let's take the questions, Abhinav. What do you say? Okay. So there are a lot of questions, Abhinav. So let's just go top down. Let me read out the questions and probably you can help answer them. Ranjan says, congratulations. Oh, thank you so much, Ranjan. That's good to see. Rajkumar says, would like to know which chimney would you suggest? Do you have a certain brand that you would recommend, Abhinav?
No, this is not any promotional event for any of the brands. So I will not take any name of the brand. I have already provided you the very basic detail, Rajkumari. Thanks for the question. But what I have provided you the details in terms of like decide with the right filter. This is the only thing which is going to work out for you. If you can understand in detail about the kind of lifestyle, about the cooking habits, go ahead with the Baffle filter and along with that the charcoal filter. If you have the possibility of having a duct pipe. If you're not having the possibility of duct pipe, then go ahead with the filterless chimney. Sorry, ductless chimney. That's all. Other than that, the third part is auto clean, which is right now the biggest hit of the latest market.
Right.
So if you are feeling that you are also having a lesser amount of time to work over with these sort of cleaning kind of things for the chimney, then you can go ahead with the auto clean chimney. But make sure that you have to take a AMC for the cleaning. So that is another charge, and it is a kind of bigger amount also. Companies are generally charging from 1,500 to 2,500 for a single visit for that maintenance every 6 months.
Okay. Also, Falak has a question. Falak, oh my God, I almost feel like I know Falak now, although I haven't, met this person because I've been seeing this name consistently for more than 8 months now, I think, or even more than that. It's so good to have you. I'm glad that we've been able to keep your attention and you come back to watch us every weekend. But let me take a question right now. Why do people use OTG and microwave together if convection is enough? That's her question.
So, Falak, I already told you about this. The understanding difference is there. And whenever, if I am a customer and I am going at a showroom and asking for both the things. Let's suppose if I'm a client and I'm going at the showroom and asking for, I need to buy a OTG and a microwave. who will be the salesman in this world who will be asking me to buy only convection? Don't go for both.
Okay.
Not a single salesperson will going to ask me for this. He will only going to say this to me that definitely, sir, I am showing you the OTG also and the convection microwave also. So we need to understand the science behind this. Convection is the combination of both. Convection has taken out pros of OTG as well as the microwave. Other than that, there is one more feature. Convection oven also takes electricity as compared to the solo. So if you have a lot of frozen food cooking, that means frying of frozen food, so in that case, because solo microwave is a very least amount taking of least energy taking. So if you want to get your food defrost simultaneously while cooking other foods in the convection, in that scenario, we need two ovens. So the second oven you require will be only solo maximum. If you are requiring that two things should be cooked together, so in that case you will be requiring two ovens. There are a lot of people who cook let's say if you want to cook pasta and pizza same time, you can not cook it in the same oven because other people have to wait at that time. So if you have a bigger family, you need to have two ovens. There is also a possibility that you need to buy two convections even. So what I would rather suggest, instead of having one microwave, you can also go ahead with two convections altogether, because they will be doing the same kind of efficiency and provide you almost every cooking. So that is also more resolvable to you.
So Ram has a question. Can I have the recording link of the webinar? Ram, unfortunately, no. I mean, this is kind of intellectual property stuff that our designers have put a lot of effort into in creating. I don't think we'll be able to publish it online anywhere. But however, I'll be happy to get Abhinav back. Abhinav, see, there is demand. You have to come back again and do this one more time. Ranjan has a question. What if we keep hob in the center instead of sink as mentioned for L-shaped kitchen? Does that work fine?
Yeah, perfectly. That works fine. So Ranjan, if I talk about the placement of hob in respect of kitchen and for refrigerator and the sink, so when you are placing hob, so try to put sink either on left or right and vice versa for the kitchen. So the sink and refrigerator should be opposite to each other while hob is in the center. So that is fine, totally fine. You just need to maintain the triangle which I showed.
Okay. What is your view, Abhinav, on under the counter water purifier? Abhishek had a question.
Under counter water purifiers are nice, but as I have seen, a lot of time under counter RO or water purifier can only be installed under the sink. There is no other option, and I have not seen any single person who is actually going ahead with a water purifier in a separate module other than a sink module. So what I felt personally, we need to take care.
I did hear that. In a what model?
So Kavya, when I talk about the under counter RO or under counter water purifier, it has to be installed only under the sink.
Right.
So under the sink is the place which has drain point also. And in majority of the cases, we are installing our our dustbin also at the same place. So that is the place which we need to take care about, that if we are going ahead with under counter RO or under sink RO, we should avoid using dustbin in the same module if we can. Okay. So that is the only point. Otherwise, they are very good to go. They are really nice. They have their own water storage of almost 8 to 10 liters. They have their separate faucet also, which is getting installed right above the sink only and or adjacent to the basic supply of the water. So that is good to go.
Okay. I know you don't want to take brand names, but there are a lot of questions pertaining to it. Some asked for a suggestion on a RO purifier. Do you have a recommendation of a brand?
So, Kavya, sorry, I could not get the name.
Do you have a recommendation, a good brand recommendation for a RO purifier?
RO purifier. So again, see, this is not dependent upon the brand, as I already told you. First of all, while deciding the brand, you always search out for the service provision. If the service provider are good enough for any of the brands, see, let's take an example of any brand. They are not doing the after sales support by themselves. They also hire a third party to provide you the after sales support. Okay, regarding the services. So you need to take care about, you need to check the Google reviews. You can basically ask your neighborhoods also, like what brands they are using, or are they good? Are they providing good services or not? Are they providing timely services or not? If there any requirement of spare replacement, how much time they are taking. because water is something we cannot even survive without few hours. And if company is asking you for few days to provide you the spare, so it is a huge trouble. So that's why I am not going ahead with any sort of particular brand, but I'm providing you the basic clarity that first of all, get your TDS checked. If it is under 300, go ahead with regular water purifier. And if it is above 300, check the taste of water and decide upon if you really need the RO water or not, RO purifier. Second factor is about the after sale service. If after sale service is good, then go ahead with any of the brand.
Okay. So Priya had a question. Can you explain the detail on chimney for island kitchen?
Sorry, Kavya,
chimney, could you explain the detail on chimney for island kitchen? Is there anything specific?
Yes, I got that. Okay, I got that. So basically, when we talk about the island kitchen chimney, so generally island type of kitchen, we generally do not want to have lot of ducts or a single duct even, because island looks neat and clean. Island looks good when it do not have n number of pipes and number of exhaust pipes. So for that, there are two solutions. Either you can ask your designer or the planner to go ahead with the nice false ceiling design, so that it can take over the exhaust pipe in a hidden manner. Okay. And if it is not possible, then you can go ahead with the ductless chimney.
Okay. So Shrisha had a question. If you have an open kitchen, how do you calculate the suction power?
So even for the open kitchen, we need to calculate the volume of the space, because even if we are having, see, there are two types of kitchen, open kitchen also, but we generally confused with. So let's take an example. If you are having a drying, dining and kitchen in a single hall, and in that particular big hall, you are having a L-type chimney kitchen, that is called actually a open kitchen. So in that case, you need to calculate the volume of overall hall as you do for the AC. But these open type kitchens are certainly not very much popular in Indian style, because we do a lot of smoke cookings. We do a lot of cooking with spices. So ultimately what we ended up with while planning, we close the kitchen with either one wall or two walls. So to make it like at least, so it becomes partially open, which we speak about that it is an open kitchen. So only one wall is open. Three walls are ultimately closed for those kitchens also.
Correct.
Which we generally calls open kitchen.
Right.
That is not an open kitchen basically. Okay. So if we are having a 2-side or 3-side open for the kitchen, that is called open kitchen. So if 3 sides are closed, that is partially open, and in that case you can calculate the basic volume of the kitchen area. Along with that, add 200 suction power plus into that overall volume.
Okay, all right. So
one more factor, Kavya, sorry, I will like to add here. In case this question, actually this question is, there is another part to this answer. So let's suppose if you are having this open kitchen I'm talking about, if the hob is installed on the side of opening, like the open wall, in the manner of island type, in that case you need to increase the volume of the suction power more. But in case you are having the chimney or hob placement on any of the closed wall, then you can have like 200 or 300 suction power addition.
Is there so considering the kind of homes, usually we do a 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 1800 square feet. That's the kind of homes that we've been doing, right? What's the most common suction power that's used? 1,000.
So talking about very basic size, see, it is dependent upon the kitchen dimensions first. First of all, we need to understand the kitchen dimension generally is from 10 feet to 10 feet. 10 feet by 10 feet kitchens are there. And when we cover them completely with overhead base units, cupboards, cabinets, breakfast counter, so there are a lot of things which actually decreases the volume of kitchen, overall kitchen, if you understand. So for that kitchen, 600 to 850 suction power is more than enough. But people are ending up buying 1,000 or 1,100 suction power, which is not going to provide any good result. But they are only like spending their more money.
So sorry, I'm asking this because I bought a chimney which has 1,000 suction power just because I wanted to be very, very careful.
So people are actually thinking this, that buying more suction power will be more helpful or more efficient.
Yeah.
So that is the understanding for every genuine customer. So even if I would be at your place, I will be buying 1,000 or 1,100 because I am not getting the proper understanding from the people who are selling that product.
Yeah. I should have come to you for this.
Yes. That is the agenda of this session.
Next chimney that I buy probably.
Any appliance you buy.
So, Falak had a question. In case of a flushed hob, do we leave the trolley below it for maintenance, or can we use it as a normal trolley? Trolley, I'm assuming she means the drawers. Sorry, Falak, if you could reiterate that question, maybe we'll come back to it again. Shaheen asked a question, what is AMC? AMC is annual maintenance contract, right? Provide, okay, fine, there's brands. We will skip the questions that are based on brands. So Sandhya had a question. The existing 4-burner hob emits very low flame. Is there any way to get it fixed instead of going for a hob change?
Sandhya, first of all, I think you should get the hob checked with the technical service provider, technician. So there might be a possibility that hob holes are getting blocked, or if they are low from the very first day, that is something which is a concern. In that case, you need to get the hob change.
Okay.
Because burner holes tends to get clogged. They tends to get clogged by the time. So even in case of very small spillage of, let's suppose if you are boiling a tea and tea gets spill over, so that can also block that holes. So that might be the reason.
Dharmesh had a question. Can you also talk about combo burners, gas and induction?
Avya, I could not understand the term which you use.
Dharmesh had a question. Can you also talk about combo burners with gas and induction together?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a lot of combinations. I spoke about this while we are discussing about induction plates. I told you that, Dharmesh, whenever you are going ahead with induction, you can definitely make it a part of your kitchen, but don't make it only the part of your kitchen. There should be minimum of 2 burners as per the Indian lifestyle, because we have a lot of things to cook on flames. We need flame cooking. Until and unless you are totally fine with 100% flameless cooking, then you can go ahead with total induction plate cooking range even. So induction plate has either 2 placements or 3 placements or 4 placements. So you can go ahead with any n number of placements in case you are fine with flameless cooking.
But a combination is something that you would recommend using.
Sure, combination does not affect any feature of burner, because they are 2 separate units which are combined together. So one works on electricity and one works on gas.
Right. There was Anjali had a question. Can a hob be inserted after the kitchen is ready?
Anjali, this is not recommended and not suggestible at all. So what I will suggest you, always inform your planner or a kitchen designer prior that this is a certain model which you like or which you want to get installed. And after that, start planning your kitchen. Because the cavity which is required to fix the hob is definitely going to play a vital role, and this is a basic requirement for the hob placement. If let's suppose you are if you're selecting a hob of 90 centimeter and you are having a drawers of 60 centimeter underneath, so you cannot install that hob in that situation. So you need to be clear about this thing, that how many number of burners you are going ahead with. This is one, and what is the width of the hob, and you need to provide this clarity to your designer or kitchen planner as well. And this has to be in advance.
Right. So there are some more questions that have come up now. Sandhya Santosh said, would the chimney exhaust pipe be installed inside or outside the kitchen? Sorry, I'm trying to get that question.
Sandhya, I could not understand the question very up to the mark, but I will try to answer this, whatever I have understood. Chimney exhaust pipe starts from the chimney top and ends up to the exhaust outlet. So it has to go from the chimney to the exhaust outlet or the window.
Right. So JP had a question. Is tall unit required for aesthetics since it will have only microwave? Secondary appliances like mixer, toaster, grinder be placed on kitchen slab in open space. So what is the use of a tall unit? I mean, is it really necessary? Is it only for aesthetics? What else can it accommodate basically?
JP, actually, what I understood from your question, you have answered your question already. So apart from aesthetics, it is providing you the functionality of the kitchen. It is actually managing your space. So there are a lot of appliances nowadays, even hand blender, even there are so many things apart from only ovens. There are so many homes also which are not very fond of oven cooking, but even for that matter, they are having the oven in their place. So tolerate is definitely not a mandatory thing to be have, but it always provide you more space to organize your kitchen in a better way. Other than these appliances, tall unit also provides you the space or the lift up just right above the overhead. It can also provide you the space for wicker baskets. So there are a lot of things which you can plan in that this simple tall unit. You can also mix and match the combination of oven and larder unit or a pantry unit in the same tall unit itself. So there are n number of possibilities. They are totally dependent upon the designer or the planner.
Right. In fact, yeah, all in all, I think to answer his question, to reiterate, tall units definitely are not just for aesthetics, but functionality wise, they serve a
They
huge.
definitely increase the functionality. They plan because we are not having the dado space in the case of tall unit. It is a continued unit from the floor to the maximum possible available height. So that provides you all in all the best, like maximum storage also.
There's one very good question here. JP asked, should we finalize on all appliances models before the design? Very, very common question that we get asked.
Yes. So even honestly speaking, when I was actually planning for this session, in the very beginning, I was thinking about the same question, that what should be the stage, like when we are planning to have a designer and when we are getting a survey done for the space. So should we available with the kitchen and apply all the appliances and model details right beforehand or not? So what I will suggest you here, JP, first of all, understand from your lifestyle, from your family, how many family members are there, which I already speak about in the very beginning of the session also. Understand about the requirement first, then discuss it with your designer, and if possible, try to fix up with all the models and the appliances and the specification in the very beginning. That will be really helpful for the designer as well. But make sure those appliances or items or products does not get exhausted out from the stock. So either you buy them in advance, keeping your designer also well informed about the specs and the kind of configuration you are getting, or otherwise just make sure that whatever you are finalizing with, they are available also at the time of real execution.
Right. Abhishek had a question. I have a hob in front of the window. Any disadvantage of having chimney in front of the window?
Abhishek, as I told about the airflow point, so you need to make sure that first of all, chimney should not cover the window lighting, window opening, and second is window should definitely be not uh, providing the airflow at the time you are using the hob, because it will disturb the airflow which is maintained or being generated by the chimney. While using a chimney, we need to make sure that chimney should be switched on before starting cooking. This is one. Second, at the time of using chimney, airflow should be only from chimney. There should be no fan switched on in the kitchen. There should be no secondary airflow, which is affecting the flow of chimney. So that is the basic thing. If your window is not disturbing any of these two, like window is not getting covered by chimney first, and second, window is not providing any sort of airflow which is disturbing the flow created by the chimney, then it is good to go.
Right.
Other than that, I think window in front of hob provides lot of good natural light to cook food.
So I think we're close to the end of the session. Abhinav, you've exceeded the time. Like you've done this before, but okay, well, it's fine for now. So last one or two questions maybe. Built-in, Sandhya had a question, built-in hob versus cooktop. What would you recommend?
Sandhya, again, I will repeat my things. So, see, this is totally dependent upon the kind of lifestyle and the cooking style. If not specifically onto you, but if we have a habit or if we have more number of spillage of liquids, so we can definitely should go ahead with the cooktop because they are really very easy to clean. This is one. Second, if you're really concerned about the aesthetics of the kitchen, then you have to go with built-in hob. Both are good to go. The only demerit in built-in hob is that cleaning is difficult when the spillage is above the certain level, because whatever spillage is there, it will going to accumulate in the cavity in the drawer, in the cavity below the burner. So that results in the growth of fungi and algae, which cause a lot of bacteria growth, and it is not at all good for health.
On this question, do not listen to Abhinav. Go for a hob. Definitely go for a hob. It looks much better. People will learn how to clean, People will learn how to clean. It definitely looks way better.
No, it is not about only cleaning, Kavya. I'm saying if you can avoid spillage of food, if you can avoid like over spillage or like when the food is boiling, when the liquids are boiling, you need to rush at this immediate time to stop them getting overspilled. If you can control these kind of things, see, I have seen many ladies who are preoccupied in so many things at the time of cooking.
Be good at
So
money.
let's take an example. If we have a lady which is having a family of 10 to 10 plus people, there are two kids also playing nearby, and there is a boiling already going ahead. So she needs to take care about on priority. She will be taking care of kid.
Right.
Secondary, she will be going ahead to stop the spillage of the water or the liquid. So in these sort of cases, it will become hassle for that lady only to
Okay.
clean up that.
So take Abhinav's advice on functionality, take my advice on design. Definitely go for, okay, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, please listen to Abhinav. I'm just kidding right now. So I think Kiran had the same question that's already answered. What are the current kitchen trends in terms of design? Sabina, I think, Abhinav, I think that's going to be a large question. Maybe next time, Abhinav, you should pick that up as a topic and talk about it.
So just to answer this in a very crisp manner, latest trend of the kitchen is like the color of the year for kitchens is black, and you can go ahead with black for sure. Try to take glossy black because glossy surfaces are easier to maintain, easier to clean. They are lesser absorbent, and on glossy surfaces there are minimal chances of getting the fingerprints also. So these sort of things you need to take care about, and always when selecting a surface, selecting the countertop, selecting the laminates or the acrylic or the finishes for the shutters, always check for very simple test is there. Apply a moisturizer on your fingers and touch it on the surface. So just see that. Okay, this is a very basic tip, because while you are cooking the food, there are a lot of chances that you will be getting a lot of finger marks on the finishes. This is really not possible while a lady is cooking the breakfast, and right after that she is serving the food, having that with her family, and then cleaning the kitchen, for especially for the office goers. So you need to take care about the finishes, that either they are taking the finger marks or not, or and how much is the intensity.
That's an amazing suggestion. Why did I think about it? But okay, next time I will. Abhinav, it's been fun. Fantastic session. I think we could go on for another hour if we keep at it. Thank you so much, everyone. Kiran says thanks. Excellent.
Thanks a lot. Actually, I am really thankful for all the people who are joined in, and I also enjoyed with the so nice audience.
Yeah. So I think we'll call it a day. I'm going to probably play one last home tour for any of you who have the time to watch it right now. If you have a few questions, maybe we'll be active on the chat and we will try to answer them for the next 5 minutes as long as the video plays. But otherwise, thank you so much. Stay safe, stay at home, and we'll be happy to see you again next weekend.
Hi, I'm Divya and I'm designer by profession.
Hi, I'm Divya and I'm designer by profession, and welcome to my house.
Hi, I'm Divya and I'm designer by profession, and welcome to my house.
So being a millennial, I always thought that I will own a house, but also I always
So
thought
being
that
a millennial, I
should not
always
be
thought
very
that I
heavy.
will own a
I
house, but
wanted
also I
my
always
house
thought
to
that it
display
should not be
a lot
very
of
heavy.
forms,
Like I
textures,
wanted
patterns,
my
colours.
house
If
to
you see foyer
display
area,
in
we
a
have
lot of
only one
forms like
bench
textures,
and we
patterns,
have a
colors.
big
If you
mirror,
see
and
foyer area,
then
we have
very
only one
pretty
bench
wallpaper.
and we have a big mirror,
If you see that wallpaper,
and we
it's
have a very
not
pretty
a typical
wallpaper.
traditional wallpaper. It's
So
very trendy.
if you see that wallpaper, it's not a typical traditional wallpaper. It's very
Being a
trendy.
designer, I always think that I am at my best. So
Being a designer, I always think that I am at my best.
This
So I
space
always want
actually
a mirror when I
is
go out.
described for a party place.
This
And we
space
sit on the
actually
couch, some people
is
sit on the
described
carpet,
for
and we have
a party place.
movie
And we
night,
sit on
we
the
have
couch, some
popcorns
people
coming.
sit
So
on the
this
carpet,
place is
and
very
we have
special
a
for me.
movie
in
night,
kitchen, if
we
you
have
see,
popcorns
we were
coming.
already
So this
given
place is
black
very
tiles,
special for
and
me.
it was
So
a
in
big
kitchen, if you see,
dilemma
we
that
were already
what
being given
kind of
black tiles,
bottom
and
you
it
would
was a
use
big
that
dilemma
doesn't
that
look
what
much
kind
heavy.
of
So I have seen people have
bottom you
used dark
would use
bottoms
that
and
it
tops too,
doesn't look
which
much
makes the
heavy.
kitchen
So I have
shrink.
seen
So
people have
that's the
used dark
reason I
bottoms
chose
and tops
almond
too,
pink
which
for
makes
the
the kitchen
bottom
shrink.
and
So that's
top
the reason I
with
chose
white color.
almond pink for the
We
bottom
wanted
and
something which is premium,
top
and
with
Bonito
white
is
color.
actually premium, is
We
in
wanted
a very
something which is
affordable
premium,
rate.
and Bonito is actually
So
premium
let's go to
is
the first
in a
room.
very
When you see the
affordable rate.
wallpapers and when you see the customized
So let's go to the first room.
wardrobe,
When you see the
that was
wallpapers
being
and when you see
personalized,
the
and the best part
customized
about room
wardrobe,
is the
that
customized
was being
aristocrat
personalized,
wardrobe,
and the
which
best
we
part
got it
about
made
room
from
is the
Bonito.
customized
And
aristocrat
it is
wardrobe,
amazing. We
which we
found
got it
some
made from
inspirations
Bonito.
and we gave it to Bonito, and they said, yes, we can do it. And we were so excited, and when it came up, it was so pretty. So my favorite part is the master bedroom, where you can see a very pastel pink accent wall with straight lines. I love straight lines, I don't know why. And also the wardrobes are very different. It's contemporary and modern and traditional at the same time. The best part about that room is we have a lounge area where we sit and we have a cup of coffee or read a book. So that room is my favorite space. I mean, if I want my me time, I go to that room and I chill for a long time. We got a lot of furnitures through Bonito. So Bonito gave us some 10 to 15% discounts on Urban Ladder, Pepperfry and Wooden Street, and these are the only brands I was looking for. I would definitely recommend it to any of my friends, because I know the experience was really nice and seamless, especially in this pandemic times. So it's literally 10 on 10 from my side to Bonito.